to the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast. Oh my gosh, we are here. We are excited to have all of you. It has been crazy times, and we are finally back. We have been just traveling the world. We have been on vacation. We have literally been enjoying ourselves and just having, a little bit of a break. But we are here. It's the end of the year, guys. It is the end of the year, and we wanted to spend it with you. So let me get my co-host introduced so that we can just jump right in. Hilton George, how are you? How is life?
Oh, it's crazy. As you may know, BlurredCon has moved to March, so we only got about 2.5 months.
You got no time.
We don't have as much time, so we're planning. There's all kind of stuff in the works, as you know. But at the same time, you're enjoying the holidays and family and all that kind of stuff. So I got a chance to go to Puerto Rico.
Woo!
Got a chance to visit family down south. Managed to celebrate Nala's first birthdays, the little Rottweiler that could. So that was yesterday.
Our babies are growing up, guys.
Right in front of our eyes. 2.5 pounds a week.
What they do.
2.5 pounds a week. This dog eats better than all of us. We've seen what he makes. It's crazy. We're gonna get into that in a second because he's insane as to how well he takes care of this dog. I've never seen anything like it. Christi Renee, how are you? How is life? You're looking very festive. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Happy New Year.
All the reindeer.
Yes, all of them.
Santa's helper is in the house.
I'm good. I'm happy to be back here. Hear that song again. It is, yes, it's a festive time. We've had an interesting year, of course. We'll get into all of that.
We'll unpack that after a while.
But I feel good. I've been tired for some good reasons, and I can't wait to share. So, yay! I'm happy to see y'all.
Oh my gosh, I know. I am so glad to see all of you. It has been insane. Like you guys know, I'm at a Comic-Con almost every weekend. I am traveling the world in between. I've got, some weeks off and I'm feeling rejuvenated, and I'm going to obviously spend time with family and do all that good stuff. And it's Happy New Year. I mean, that's the thing. That's the one thing I love about life is that every now and then you get a restart. And I'm not a big a New Year's resolution person because I never stick to them. I never I do it that one day and then I literally forget what I even said I was going to do. But what I do love about the new year is that you're able to almost restart mentally. Even if you're not there, you're still for me, I just say, okay, new year, new day, let's do this. It's almost like the clock starts ticking again. You get it zeroes out and the timer goes off again. But I do want a refund on 2024 because it ended like a pile of shit.
I'm trying to call the TVA now so we can break that whole timeline.
Yes.
Do we talk that? Yes.
Get me out of here. Where is Loki? Loki let one of those timeline things go, and I think it was ours.
Something definitely glitched.
That's for sure. We know Thanos is coming back to us, and that's what I'm gonna refer to him as, Thanos. And it's just it took me weeks to unpack that. Weeks to just get over. I literally was in a mood. I was so happy because that right after that I went to Turkey, and I was so happy to be out of the country. I didn't want to watch because there's no American. There's maybe 2 American news channels or there's nothing. You turn on the TV, it's not even in our language, and so you would get 2000 episode of an old sitcom. It was all old school TV. It was nothing new. So for me, it was I really unplugged, decompressed, didn't see anything, and just forgot where I was from. But how did you guys, not to get into it because I know that it'll be a Debbie Downer of a show if we get into this. So I was we've already kind of got over that hump, but how, because there are a lot of people who are still trying to figure out their way out of the depression that was the election results. How did you guys deal with that emotionally? Because we all seem like we're good. We're moving forward, and we're just going to have to see what tomorrow brings. But did you get over it?
all this time I thought you was talking about the Mike Tyson fight with Logan Paul.
No,
Boy.
no, I was not.
Oh,
I was talking
that
about
happened too. Right. I was
the
thinking, like
us back 4
underqualified
years, took us
white
back to the
guy beats
1950s.
I was like, like, the same thing, same little continuum going on there. No, I was very shocked and not shocked at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's like that episode of Roadrunner where, Wile E. Coyote looks all the way down the desert on this side of the street, ain't no cars coming. Looks all the way down that side of the street, ain't no cars coming for miles into the desert.
That baby toe out there.
Put one toe out in that road and boom.
Yep.
And you're like, you know what? There are supposed to be cars on the highway, so that's not crazy. It's just I didn't expect this one to hit us this way, and right. I had my whole, like, how you get your mouth ready for a certain thing to eat, like fried chicken, a steak, or something. I thought we were going to be chewing on a different steak. I thought we were going to be dealing with Trump legal challenges and PR campaigns and court battles and a second, January 6th issue and all that stuff. And, the
criminal keeps criminally.
In 30 hours, it was, he won, and that was it. And I was like, okay, it just, it's crazy. I misjudged where we were as a country.
I did.
The biggest disappointment. That was really just the amount of people who, the first time I chalked it up to, they were fans of The Apprentice, or they liked Home Alone 2 when they saw him leave that child in the middle of the street. I thought they was like, okay, anybody can fool you once, right? What are you going to do? But this one, we knew what we were getting into. Hook, line, and sinker. 51% of the country was like, sure. And now we're going to have 4 years of madness. And to your point, having to disengage, I think that's what we're going to have to do. We are not going to be, we're not going to be able to do what we did in the previous Trump administration. We don't have, I don't think, the community energy to constantly immolate ourselves and set ourselves on fire and whip ourselves, on the back for the next 4 years and come out the other end healthy. We're going to have to find another way to cope. And mine will be to the country. You know what? Some kids need to touch the stove twice to know that it's hot. And I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to watch the country burn its hand.
Burn
and then when
down.
we start looking at 2028, then we can maybe do something. But for now, I'm like,
I've totally happen. It was shocking to me how many people were secretly, like, they could not bring themselves, like, I don't want to get too deep into this, but they could not bring themselves to vote for a woman, a Black woman, and it was just heartbreaking. So I've resigned. I put myself in a place where I'm like, I am completely disengaged, and I am focusing on my career, my life, my everything, that my family,
and keeping your passport up to date.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's up to date. I travel so much and work so much that I could literally not know what is going on in this world and not care, because all the people that I cared about, a lot of the things didn't directly affect me, but all the people I cared about didn't care about themselves. So there you have it. So Christi, how did you come? Because you said, I'm feeling good. So you and I, like, we've had conversations, we shared memes, we shared heartbreak. I think we kind of approached it the same way, but I mean, it's a terrible way to end the year.
Of course, right after, I was nationally devastated. And I coined my own little mantra once I came to grips, and it didn't take long because it was when I woke up. I literally went to bed, woke up, and it was done. There was no long waiting period. There was no, it wasn't, we didn't have a whole long process to go through to accept what was done. So it was just, as I woke up, I knew. And so I quickly came to, and again, like you said, it's the second time around. And so the mantra is, that's not my lesson to learn. It's just not. I already knew. I knew the first time. It didn't take much for me to know. I didn't have to go through, some trial and error with this individual. I already knew. And so this time around, it was painful, but I wasn't broken completely. I was I'm always disappointed in this country. And where,
Always.
like you said, like I had a lot of faith this time around because I
Yeah.
really believed, no, but this time, like
I
this time,
know.
I
It was
really,
so hopeful and so shiny
in,
and bright,
yeah,
right?
in such a
Oh,
short time, I really felt it was the nostalgia of 2008 in a very small amount of time. We raced to the top emotionally, mentally, you know, just in a very euphoric way. However, and I don't regret that. Like the nonsense that happened afterwards, people trying to make me feel bad for being who I am and voting the way that I vote and how I have
yeah.
always voted, proudly how I have voted.
Yeah.
I pick a side. I'm not a,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I go with, no, I don't. I pick a side. And that's what I do. I rock with that. Right, you know, even with our flaws.
Yeah.
However, I went to the place of, this gonna be me for the next 4 years.
I know. I'm gonna sit there and watch that shit. Like,
Huh? Oh, I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. I don't know. Don't
don't
look for
cry.
me.
Don't get
Don't
me.
look for me.
Don't ask me to march.
Don't ask me to do a
Don't
nothing.
stop.
A
Christy,
nothing.
Nothing.
Christy,
So
Nothing.
I'm
you
sorry, not sorry. Y'all got it. I did
Yeah.
my part. I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to create because for a minute there, I was like, I'm ready to leave the country. I'm thankful I got my passport this year. I'm ready to go. However, there's work for us to do. We're all creators. We're all
Yeah.
creators. And we have so much work in our creative fields to do and to continue, you know, both of you providing space for people to be express, you know, uniquely themselves. We're sparking conversations. We are, again, creating, we're making room and we're taking up space in our collective and individual ways. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to continue to sip my shit. Like, huh?
this is very similar, and I know you and there's probably a majority of people in the Bob audience who know somebody or are close to somebody who is in a toxic or an abusive relationship to
Mm,
which you have been placed,
Hilton
in a state of
George.
awareness,
mm.
and you give your best advice, you give your best resource, you do everything you can to try to either extricate that person from that
Hilton
situation or
George.
create opportunities for those people to leave. And every Christmas and every birthday, they
They want to
show up
be
with
right
that
there.
person and they act like, well, this time it'll be different. This time they promised they wouldn't do it again. This time, and it's just this cycle that, people can't be saved unless they want to be saved. And
Yeah.
Right.
this country is, I look at the country right now in that same way. I still care about it the same way. I mean, I live here, I'm a patriot, but I'm like, you know what? This is like my mechanic told me once, that the problem you brought your car in here for is going to have to get so bad that whatever the part is that's malfunction is going to have to break before we can
Mhm.
get those fixes and fix it. Like everything, but we can't quite feel the pull. So you just got to wait for this thing to just wreck and be on the side of the road before you can bring it in and we can fix it, because it's that kind of problem. And I think this country has that kind of problem.
Yeah.
The country is going to have to be half on fire and half broken and half destitute, broke, and despondent before they realize, oh, we really do have to be responsible citizens. We have to do our research. We have to understand policy. We have to
Uh,
understand,
Hilton
what
George, you
legislation,
hitting it.
all of that stuff, so that we can stop voting for personalities and people who make us feel good, or people that, just look like us and we're scared of somebody who, is a different race, a different gender or whatever, and start thinking about, the people who are going to be the best for the country that we want to have.
Yeah.
And I don't think half the country did that. I think half the people that voted for Trump are expecting Trump to do for this country what Biden did over the last 3.5 years.
And
what
we'll give him credit for doing.
right.
for the next 4 years if she was elected, for which he will do none of that.
None.
And that's where I think the turning point is going to have to be, and
Break them down.
and we just got to sit back and watch. And the Trust Fall series is over. Y'all got to
Yeah.
hit the ground.
That's it. It's almost like
That's where we at.
a drug addict. Like, it's like you'll never get clean until you hit rock bottom. But as long as
gotta
you
hit
kept getting
rock
saved, like
bottom.
it's gonna have to be rock bottom. Like, it's gonna have
Yeah.
to be, oh my gosh, like terrible. And it's like, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Because I think I'm luckily in a place to where I can shield myself. Like a lot of those things don't affect me. Like the things that he is going hard on, he's coming out the gate guns blazing, and it's not going to affect me. But
ain't that crazy?
It's going to be terrifying to watch. You know,
it is crazy that we are blessed enough.
Yeah.
I think everybody on this podcast and a lot of you out there in BOP world are blessed enough to see the policies are going to hurt people other than us. Like we may be economically or socioeconomically put in a place where, okay, this is not going to be something that is my issue that's going to affect me where I sit. But it still bothers me that all of these people are going to have to suffer before the collective decides to turn and say, oh, wait, y'all are Americans too. Or, you know, y'all, your well-being is tied to my well-being, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're LGBTQ, whether you're black,
you're
brown,
a woman. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you know, and we're not there yet. I thought we were.
Crazy.
And the only other thing that really disappoints and saddens me really is not that we're going to go through 4 years of hell, because we went through 4 years of hell and we survived. It's that we are missing out on someone who was eminently qualified and who had probably more acumen and toughness and experience than anyone to ever run for the office. And we're going to miss out on that because she's not coming back in 4 years to run. Yeah. Hillary Clinton's not coming back to run. We don't know. We don't know who's on the bench to go for 2028. Yeah. And I don't think even whoever we get, I don't think is going to be as good as Kamala.
Right. And the things that she had like her team had like they wanted to implement was so like it was going to help people. Like it was just like
1-to-1 math down the board.
Easily.
Like, policy help. Policy help. Policy
like
help.
it was just but anyways, guys, I did not want to spend 17 minutes on this, but we had to address it because we are so deep. Like this show, literally we have talked about this for the last 4 years, and so we were so deep we had to at least address the outcome. Exactly. So you know what, God bless us all. Let's move forward. It is one of those things. I want to hear about Puerto Rico. I want to hear about the beautifulness of Puerto Rico. Like that was one of the things that I put on my list, especially like with all the political stuff that was said about Puerto Rico. I was like, I know Puerto Ricans and I know how beautiful Puerto Rico is. And I know what that place has to offer. And you don't even need a passport to get there. Like y'all are tripping. Like, okay, talk about it.
Airlines flies to Puerto Rico, people get it together.
Exactly. So it's like this. It's like y'all talk about it all you want. So when I go there, ain't none of y'all there. I can just enjoy it on my own.
It's so insane to me that, you know, we allow, you know, people's vision of a place like Puerto Rico to be characterized as an island of floating garbage or, you know, you name it, you know, a disaster zone, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And it's basically America, right? You know, the infrastructure and stuff is still kind of coming back. And is trying to get on the level of the state, but it doesn't have a vote. It doesn't have statehood,
insanity.
So the resources it doesn't get. But it's a beautiful island. It's got beautiful people. You can go and see all different types of land. Like, you know, the beaches obviously are a huge highlight. Some of the most beautiful beaches in the world are in and around Puerto Rico. The food, oh my God, just
out of control.
There's not. Listen, I drove for an hour and a half down what is known as the Pork Highway. It's called the Pork Highway. People.
Hey,
come on now.
Hey.
Ended up in a kiosk that was harder to find than Smurf Village, and they cut a piece of hog off and put it in some jollof rice. And
not a piece of hog.
I'm still dreaming about that meal. I want to drive back, and I was like, wait, I'm not in Puerto Rico. I can't just drive to get this hog. And the music and, you know, the people just are so welcoming. And and again, you know, there's this idea that, you know, the Latin American diaspora, or whatever you want to call it, is a monolith, that everything is Mexico or everything is Honduras or everything is Venezuela going through challenges and, you know, with economics and war and drugs and gangs and all this sort of stuff. And those may be true in parts and stuff, but, you know, that's true in America. Part of the culture.
Right. That's right here.
You go to Detroit and see that. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm in this island and I am staying in this beautiful, like hostel with like palm trees and cats and this, vegan chef downstairs cooking, breakfast for everybody. I'm a block from the beach. Just this wonderful town just north of just east of San Juan. And you're just everywhere you go is just beautiful, everything, the weather, the people, everything that you want. And I think people need to travel more. And everybody can't start off like maybe some of us going to Turkey or Africa or Europe. It is right off the coast of Florida. If you are flying, you can fly Southwest, Spirit, JetBlue, they all fly to Puerto Rico, daily flights. I recommend people do it. I mean, and they got a Comic-Con now, right? We talked about this, Puerto Rico Comic-Con. You should definitely go, Karen, because you speak Spanish. And so you can get some mileage out of there. I'm the one that's got to cough and hack my way through. Like some places you go, they like, what do you say?
I would love it.
So BOP Puerto Rico.
Yes, Puerto Rico Comic-Con, just call me. I'm there. Yes. Well, guys, there was a trailer that dropped last week, and I wanted you guys to see it since we haven't reviewed a lot of things lately. I want you guys to see it. It dropped last week, but I want you guys to see it. It's something that I think it's a really it's one of our favorite properties from our childhood. And so I was very excited to see this come out. So we are going to watch this because that's what we do here. And I know for a fact.
I don't even know what it is. I can't wait.
I know. Right. It's going to be something that you guys are going to love. Okay. Please hold tight.
Our traditions are rooted in history. Kung Fu.
I didn't even tell you what it is.
Karate. The tree grows strong.
Is that Jackie Chan? Voice.
You knew Mr. Miyagi?
I did not come to Miyagi.
Yes.
I came looking for you.
Oh, snap.
Yes, Karate Kid.
What?
Yes.
In life, you have only one question. Is it worth fighting for it? Or not? Lee means to me what you meant to Sensei Miyagi.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Oh my God.
What?
I'm doing this for all of us. Whatever it takes.
Ooh.
2 branches. 1 tree.
My God.
Yes.
Oh, legends.
Yes.
Video game too.
Chill.
Yes. May 30th, guys. May 30th. May 30th. Take my money. They didn't know. Just so you know, Bop Crew, they didn't know what we were about to watch. And I just was like, guys, I got something for you guys. So it's a trailer, blah, blah, blah. Don't even look at it. Guys.
They brought back Ralph Macchio. Like
and Jackie Chan. It is like
they couldn't have done it without Ralph Macchio. But the fact that there's been Cobra Kai has been running so popular on the series tip. And then to have it tie into a movie, I'm really interested to see where this plays in the Cobra Kai universe.
The Cobra Kai world,
we're probably gonna get more surprises.
And then you put Jackie Chan in there, probably the most prolific, martial arts actors and performers in the world in the last 50 years.
Yes,
there's nothing Jackie Chan does I don't want to watch.
Exactly.
You're gonna have him, and you're gonna have Ralph Macchio, and you're gonna have
my money.
This what we talking about?
That's so exciting.
What we talking
and
about?
And it looks so good. It looks so inspiring because I was like, where are they going to take this? Like, how can you possibly Like we've seen, like you said, we've been watching Cobra Kai all these years. So it's not like we haven't been a part of this world. So what could you give us that's new and fresh? And it just, I don't know, they just did it right. It seems like they're doing it right. And I cannot wait. May 30th.
Perfect melding of nostalgia with a new story.
Yes.
You know, that's what I love.
That's how you do it.
Anybody can do a remake. Like they remaking a whole lot of stuff that ain't nobody else.
I don't like remakes.
But this tell bigger, wider world building stories.
Yes.
You know, America is still in love with Ralph Macchio. And
we
I think
are
he is discovering that as an actor in a way that he hadn't before, because he was playing all these other roles. But we really loved him in this and other roles.
Yeah.
And to see him come breathing life over and over and over and over again into this character and building out this world in a way if you had said on paper 5 years ago, Cobra Kai, I'd been like, oh, come on, man. Ralph is 75 years old.
Right.
The fan base is older than that. Like,
he's probably older, a lot older than we think.
Right. Like, there ain't nobody trying to see this stuff. And then here you go. Every time they put on screen, that thing breaks records as a series. It gets all these nominations. It gets all these ratings. So, and then you're going to drop Jackie Chan in it? Like, come on, man.
There you go.
This is great.
I'm
so excited.
I'm in.
It's crazy because I used to see like Ralph and all the guys before Cobra Kai came out, they would do cons. And it was like people were so crazy. Like they were like, oh my God, the whole like it was Karate Kid cast, you know, and it was they had love. And then literally like I'd met them and then a year later, Cobra Kai comes out. And like the whole time they're working on Cobra Kai, weren't telling anybody. So we were like, what? And it obviously exploded. And they did it right by, you know, infusing them, but also bringing in new, younger talent. And it just was so cool to see that story continue. But Christy, what do you screamed.
Because again, that was.
You saw Mr. Miyagi. You were like, what the heck?
That's all I got to see is recognize. I knew the voice. I was like, oh, whoa. But then to see those key pieces, they're just such, it's just ingrained in my upbringing, like my teenage years. That's so, it's so feel good. I had chills.
Yeah.
And before they showed Ralph Macchio's face, I knew his voice. And of course, that bandana, like you already know. It's just incredible the things that like sit with you forever. And you think about the 80s. The 80s are just, they're either the greatest or the scariest time ever, right?
Right.
That whole decade. And so there's a lot of horror that comes from it, but there's also a lot of really feel good stuff. And that always, I mean, all of the Karate Kids made me feel so good. And again, to bring Ralph Macchio back, like he's from the OG. Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan truly picked up the Pat Morita role and has done wonders because again, like you said, Jackie Chan can't do no wrong. Like he's one of those. I have two that I hold in such high regard: Jet Li and Jackie Chan. What just happened?
I don't know. You celebrating?
Look, your AI is kicking in. Look at your AI.
They got balloons.
What just happened?
Hey, Jackie Chan and Jet Li, they got balloons.
I did something
like,
right.
What is that?
That was crazy. Okay, that was a first.
I love it. First. They deserve it.
This preview definitely triggered something. So no, that's so exciting. People need to know that's literally what a first look reaction is for. That's real because you're right. I couldn't click the link, and I just was like, whatever. It'll be real. I'll see it.
Yes.
On set today.
We gotta send shout out to Dana because Dana caught it and was like, "Hey, you guys should watch." And I was like, "Absolutely!" And I clicked it for one like 5 seconds, and when I saw the title, I was like, "Oh!" and stopped it and was like, "I need to see this with them," and was like, "Okay, hopefully they don't watch it." And but usually you guys don't because if we're gonna
like real.
It's we gotta it was so real, and I'm so excited. I'm literally so excited for the new year because of all the projects that are coming out that are
so much.
I mean, it is like the excitement is just pumping for me. And I mean, like we're coming off of, this is crazy. I've been, like I said, guys, I've been traveling nonstop. I still haven't seen Wicked, but I'm going to go see it this week. And it's like, but I mean, people, the just the excitement, and they just released the date of Wicked Part 2 that's coming out next year. They have, James Gunn posted a poster of, Superman, and it was a cool, just like visual, and it's like, look up, and it was like, like it, and we're huge, like we haven't been huge DC fans, but we've been huge James Gunn fans. Like I mean, what he did with Guardians, I'm just like, oh, and I was, when I heard he was taking over the leadership role over there, I was like, man, I mean, he can really do some things. And what we do know is he's going to give us a story. He's going to pull on every heartstring, and it's not going to just be a bare bone basic story. It's going to be a really in-depth, complex, character developed building story. Right. And so I was like, I'm excited for this world he's building, And that's, I mean, the Karate Kid, Superman, Wicked. I mean, it's like we got a lot of cool stuff coming out, and that doesn't even include all the DC stuff. I mean, we just had what was your reaction? Because obviously we heard about months ago about Robert Downey Jr. coming back to be, Dr. Doom or whatever. But we also heard recently that Chris Evans is coming back to the MCU. We don't know how, we don't know what. Even Denzel Washington dropped the bomb that he's going to be in Black Panther 3. And he actually said he had to call and apologize because he wasn't supposed to say that. But that's like a 70-year-old man. He's like, I'm just going to tell all my projects. I forgot about the NDAs I signed. Don't nobody care.
Denzel don't need no.
That's when Denzel's getting old, because he ain't never dropped. He ain't never spilled no tea like that before.
But he not only is he getting elderly, he is also so highly regarded that between he and Ryan, that was such a. It's like ain't nobody.
I'm still gonna go see it.
If
they'd have put tickets on sale the day he spilled that tea, I would have bought the ticket.
I mean, right, done. I don't even care what it is. We could sit and look at a black screen for 2.5 hours, and I'm gonna do it. We'll be there.
And be like, "That's wonderful, Ryan. You did it."
I want to ask a question. I want to kind of go off the beaten path real quickly, of both of you, and get your ideas. And this is also to our boppers out there too. So y'all put in the chats what your answer would be. So looking at this trailer, right, it makes me think about just remakes, right? Everybody can't do a remake, but sometimes you can take a good story that we loved forever and ever, and then you can branch it and make it something new. If you could choose like a movie from the 80s, let's just stick in that genre, because I'm sure we could go, or that time period. What would be like an ideal next story, connection film that you would like to see put out? What's your
you said from the 80s or the 90s?
80s, anytime, I guess. 80s, 90s, just old school.
Yeah, 80s, 90s.
Let me think. I feel like there's a lot of story that could be told for Bruce Leroy. Like we still like we only got one movie, right? And so like the Black community, The Last Dragon, we've only gotten one movie. And like we got like, we never get like when it comes to Black film and Black cinema, we don't really get the multi, like, I would love to see, like, if they can do Karate Kid 80 different ways, and they can do freaking Cobra Kai, and they can spin it and flip it and rub it down, then why couldn't we get a second, Last Dragon? I think there's something there that is based in our community, that is current, that is like, deals with the things that potentially, and it would be a martial arts film. I think it would be amazing.
But you got to remember, Imac is a martial artist. So he can actually do a lot of Jackie Channing on the screen. I think you brought up the one example. I think one of the things about the 80s and 90s is that there were so many sequels that these movies, if they were successful, they almost automatically became franchises, right? So I can't even think of any movie that really, really, really popped in the 80s and 90s that didn't get 1, 2, 3, even 4 or 5 sequels, especially like sci-fi and horror. So you think about Revenge of the Nerds, you think about Back to the Future. Right. You think about the Karate Kids. You think about, with sequels and franchises were the hallmark of 80s and 90s cinema. So I don't think they left that many stones unturned. I think the 2000s is where people were kind of hitting and missing. Like the studios would get a little skittish and be like, oh, this was just a nominal success, so we're not going to invest in building a world around it. We're not going to come back to that well. We're just going to do something else with bigger stars over here instead of, kind of going back into it. And I think they had to do that in the 80s and 90s because they had more story to tell a lot of times because these were ensemble casts. You think about all the 80s movies where like so many of these people came out before they were A-listers,
right?
Who became A-listers after they did that zany movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
right.
Pizza,
it was almost like the discovery, like they were finding all these A-list stars. Like the casting agents back then were onto something.
By you get 2 years after that debut, these people blew up and were not available in the same way. So, beyond those examples, I can't think of anything that I love from the 80s and 90s that didn't get its due respect with sequels. Like, oh, I really wish they had come back to that and told more story because they, all the stuff that really popped, with exception of The Last Dragon. I mean, even Breaking had 5 movies. Like, so like
I know.
We even if it was straight to video, we was making it happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of stumped. I might have to come back to this.
Yeah. So that's the only one that popped in my head like immediately. Like,
but I think that's a good one because it hasn't been done before. I'm just thinking of like a film that could skip 40 years. We passed 40 years.
So you think like could be today do a series?
Right. I mean, if there's something that you loved as a kid and hadn't come out, I think of one that comes to mind just in a whole different genre. And I think about this because the main actor is still alive, I believe. And I just watched him the other night, and it's funny when I see him go from a kid and then all of a sudden he's an adult and he's in this incredible trilogy. Well, he's a part of a trilogy, but the first film, Stephen Dorff, when he was a kid, he was in the movie The Gate. And I love that movie because it's a horror film, but it's about kids and little demons running around. It's so funny. So I just think, dang, I really like to see Stephen Dorff as an adult and then having his own kids and they crack something open again. And, these little bigger,
all that.
The CGI was so bad in that movie. When I watch it again, it's so much fun to watch and kind of laugh at. And I would.
That was kind of like what horror films were back in the day, though. They had a certain cheese to them, and that's why it was like so great, And now it's like they got to be so like the special effects have got to do this and this and it's like it almost takes away. And I think that's why like shows like Agatha All Along did so well because it didn't use all of that. It used like real characters, a really good story, and there were a lot of practical effects, and it still infused some of those horror elements and like really built up this world, and we were like all for it, and I don't know, but yeah, I mean that could definitely be one. I never watched The Gate because I don't watch horror films. But if you tell me that it needs a sequel, then maybe you need to write it, Christy. Write a sequel.
Maybe that's me.
So you guys, we skipped over something earlier. They announced that Chris Evans is coming back to the MCU. I need to hear your thoughts because, I mean, it almost like I love Chris Evans. Y'all know I love him. Like that's my husband, like my white husband in my mind, right? And totally.
You and me both.
That is the white boy that
I'm
shooting my shot.
We are in the concubine.
It's like I'm doing my Jordan shots, right? So, but this is the thing. I thought Infinity War, I thought Endgame, I thought all of it ended so perfectly. And now that like it's like it ain't even really been that long, and it's like they're already bringing back Robert Downey Jr. They're gonna bring back Chris Evans. I'm like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Like, it almost made me mad that I was like, it's too soon for all that. I loved how when he came in Deadpool, where we thought he was Cap and he wasn't Cap, and it was like the perfect thing ever. Like that was the way to do it. And even then, that also made me mad because I was like, they already did it, and it was perfect because we weren't expecting it, and it wasn't even what we expected. So why are we doing this, MCU? Why?
I think Marvel is skittish. I think they got a different board of directors than they had for, the Infinity Saga. I think that they were scared off by low ticket sales or what they perceived to be lack of blockbuster ticket sales for Quantumania, where you kind of had the soft debut of Kang the Conqueror. The storylines of the multiverse, there was a loss of faith in that, on top of his legal troubles and all that sort of stuff and bad press around it.
Right.
And I think they were scared to venture into and bet the house on phase 5 and 6 being all about Kang and the multiverse. And you saw the jokes that were written into Deadpool versus Wolverine about that, because that's kind of like behind the scenes where they were.
Oh.
And so what they did is they went back to what they think they know and said, well, you know what, if we bring back Robert Downey Jr., because every movie he was in was a hit for Marvel, so we got to go back to that formula, figure out a way to bring him back. And I think they're doing something similar with Chris Evans. I hate both of it.
Yeah.
I think that it is a poor decision. Now, it's like a hip replacement surgery. Nobody wants to go get a hip replacement surgery, even though they know their quality of life will improve after the surgery. They know how invasive and how horrendous an operation it will be, and nobody wants to get it, even if it helps, right?
Right.
I know the Russo brothers are going to make a dope movie.
They're going to do
I'm
great.
going to love it.
So what?
I'm going to be sitting in the theater opening weekend, just like I would normally, and I'm gonna love what they do, because they are who they are. And Robert Downey Jr. is a versatile actor. I think he can pull it off.
Yes.
But what I think is missed is that there is a lack of opportunity, or a missed opportunity, to bring in new characters, new actors, introduce new franchises, expand the universe away from what we know and who we're tied to. You know, you got somebody like RDJ who's bringing in $100 million or something ridiculous for each movie, right?
Right.
What does that do to a budget when you could bring in someone who's a little less known for a quarter of that price, and with a maximum of availability? You know, RDJ is old. You know, he's not going to be here for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, what he's able to do in the physical nature of some of these characters is not what he did in Iron Man and you know, the first MCU. So you're tethering yourself to how long he can do this kind of acting work, and you're tethering yourself to the cost of this actor.
Yeah, like
some new talent.
Did you hear like the rumored things that he got? Like it was like 60 million private jets, the rights. No. He's like getting the back end. It's like 80 million, something crazy.
Yeah, he's getting what do you call it? National League Baseball numbers to do this.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason he came back. It's just a money bag. But one of the most iconic characters in the Marvel universe is Doctor Doom. And I think they missed an opportunity to give him a unique casting role and somebody who can really carry him and his story through the next franchise. If he's going to be who's replacing Kang as the big bad for the next two phases, then, you know, doubling down on the guy who carried us the first 4 is not the best move. But again, it's hip replacement surgery. I don't like the decision. I'm not looking forward to the lead up and the aesthetic around it, but I know I'm going to love the final product. Right. And I just would like to see Marvel be a little more confident, a little more bold, a little more forward thinking.
Which is
and I think
shocking
this is just
to
a mark
me.
of them not doing that.
It's like it's shocking to me because they've always been more bold, more forward thinking. Like even when we didn't understand where they were going, we were like, you know, I mean, when they literally in Infinity War, they killed Loki in the first minute. Viking. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, right. Like they literally killed Loki the first seconds of the movie. We were like, what the heck? Like you knew at that moment anybody could go. And it's like, I just hope this is the only thing, because you're right, we're gonna love it. The Russo brothers are gonna give us an amazing story. Now Christy's itching to say something because she's all for it. And she thinks we're crazy. But what I will say is this. I just hope whatever it is that they decided to implement, it doesn't distract us from the moving forward, because they've already planted seeds with such great characters. Like we've got a lot of young talent and a lot of really cool characters that could really be, you know, you can invest your time and money, and I know we're going to love. I cannot wait to see you know, some of these new projects that are going to come out on Disney Plus in 2025. I cannot
And
wait.
do not, I have to say this, do not let the toxic fan base dictate the decisions of the studio.
Yes.
Because reacting to the incel fanboy base is going to
don't make the Star Wars mistakes.
Right. You know, because those guys are on the super, super, super fringe. They do not deserve a vote. Make the decisions that have worked. We talk about diversity. We talk about inclusion. We talk about representation as the formula for success.
Yes.
Stick to that. Let the audience see themselves reflected on that screen, be it the big screen or the small screen, and you will always win. Even if you upset this other side of this little fringe on this island over here. They ain't got no friends. They in their mama's basement. They're not coming out.
Yeah.
They
won't even proclaim out loud who they vote for.
There it is.
There you have it. Yeah. Christy, you got the floor because you've been shaking your head at us for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I'm sorry because we had a lot. We had to get some things off our chest too.
Girl, no,
it's your turn.
I think it's funny because, like, that's an incredible analogy about the whole hip replacement.
It's exactly what.
But we know that they're not losing. I'll say a couple of things. One, I love the duality of some of these actors coming back. Like they're coming back as villains, right? We know Chris Evans is Captain.
Well, we don't know what Chris Evans is coming back as.
Oh, well, he's supposedly going to be in a villainous role. So, okay. I mean, that was just as of yesterday. He's going to be like in a villainous thing. So anyway, whatever he does,
I never heard that. Okay, well, go ahead.
Even if it's in a different existence, right? Like they gave us this whole timeline. We've got variants. We've got all these different ranges that people can exist in at the same time, just in different realms. Love that. I think it introduces so many more stories, so many cool things, new cool things. And Marvel is going to monopolize, rightfully so. They should like go full throttle, right? Secondly, I don't think there's no time ever in Marvel where they've got these stories that come to screen and we don't get a whole collection of new faces. We're going to see those faces, but somebody's got to come in and bring the power. Because I'm going to tell you now, I mean, I can like a new person. I just don't know if it's going to make me love the project immediately, because it may take time, but I already know that I'm going to love if Robert Downey Jr. shows up as whatever, or Chris Evans comes back as, or, you know, whomever. We got Black Panther, and when we got Wakanda Forever, it was an opportunity to bring some new faces. That's why we're looking forward to Ironheart, right?
Yes.
So there's always in that storytelling universe, you're gonna have your heavy hitter come in. Like you said, he's getting older, so we're gonna give him whatever he can. He gonna have a son. He gonna have a some character.
Well, he's got a daughter,
or a daughter, whatever. You're right. So there's gonna be opportunities. I don't think that they are minimizing those opportunities by any stretch of the imagination. It makes sense. Bring these real heavy hitters, these powerhouses, to these new stories that they're kind of reintroducing. Or new Earth stories they're reintroducing to all of us. You got to lead with power, because again, everybody already mad as him. I'm not. Like, bring it. I enjoy watching him, and I don't ever want anybody to. I don't ever want them to go away.
I just don't want to love him. Like, I loved him so. Like, Iron Man was literally my favorite character. And so it's like now it's almost like a desperado move. Like, you're just bringing him back because you're nervous at what this stupid, like he said, what the fandom has said. Just because they didn't like a movie, like they didn't like a few movies, they didn't like, Quantum, they didn't like that movie, they didn't like Kang, or Kang just didn't translate the way they thought he would. And then they've been like, literally the fandom has been like squashing movies. Like, they squashed the movie with Captain Marvel, and you guys know I wasn't a Captain Marvel fan, but that second movie is literally one of my favorites, and I was so mad that they squashed it just because it was female led and it had a Black female director. Like, it was almost like what we see in this country, like where it was like, we cannot allow this to get in the way of what we love most. We can't let them have it, so let's not let them in. Let's squash their movie before it even comes out. So for me, it's just like, this was our opportunity. They've always been innovative. They've always taken risks. Like, if you would have told us 15, 20 years ago that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be, Iron Man, and we were going to literally watch him in all of these movies. Like 10, 15 movies later, we were going to still be like, oh, and we were going to cry when his character died at the end of Endgame. Like I was crying real tears. Like I knew him, like I thought, Iron Man was a real person. Like all the while I knew this is a made up character, but I am literally crying real tears. And you have this perfect poetic ending. And then you kind of just like, now we're going to get him a different way. I don't know. It just, it for me, I agree with Hilton where it was like, this was the chance for us to get another actor to really like carry us through the next 10 years. And I don't know that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be able to be with us in this character for another 10 years. Like he's literally transitioned in the best way. He won an Oscar. Like he did a really serious film and really showed the world, like, I'm not just a superhero. I am a full-fledged actor, and I got an Oscar to prove it. And so I was like, wow, he transitioned. Marvel needs to transition. So it is what it is. I'm like Hilton said, I'm gonna love it. The Russo brothers have never told a story. They told two of the best stories I loved the most, which was Infinity War and
absolutely. Endgame. Now I will say the last thing I'll say on this is, to your point, bringing Robert Downey Jr. in as the new Doom doesn't just, from behind the scenes kind of tether us to an actor and a storyline, and that, based on his age and what he can do, but the storyline of the actual movie and the story that they're going to tell in that movie is also tethered, because there is one storyline in the Marvel comic book universe where Dr. Doom is actually a variant of Tony Stark. So in a way, we're getting Tony Stark again. It'll be a slightly different iteration, but he goes through this different life experience where he becomes Dr. Doom, and again, there's one, and it's a narrow thread, which basically tells me in general the direction that they are going to have to go in order to tell the story with any validity. You can't just have Robert Downey Jr. show up and it not be tethered to, him being a variant of Tony Stark, right? So they've also tied themselves to a storyline now that I don't know that anybody swears is going to be the best way to go. The classic Dr. Doom had absolutely nothing to do with Tony Stark in his introduction. He was really a villain that was on the long side of Fantastic Four, which they also have to make sure they debut and bring about in a successful way, which is a whole other, project.
Which we know they're working on.
Absolutely. And I think they're making certain choices with that one that, we'll have to see how it is, because they're building a whole new world. They're not introducing them to the world of Marvel we know. So this is going to be a very interesting world where, okay, when does Dr. Doom meet the Fantastic Four? Like this is he's their Thanos. Like without the Fantastic Four, you don't really get, you don't get Galactus, you don't get Silver Surfer, Dr. Doom, what is this world they're doing? And they got to introduce the mutants. The mutants got to get in there somewhere.
Right. We need to
abandon the multiverse. We don't have a Kang to kind of pierce all these realities and cause this multiversal war that kind of collides all these worlds that was supposed to bring all this together on one screen. So, they've got a bigger task now to tell the story using familiar pieces than they would if they were using unfamiliar pieces.
Right.
And again, like I said, just like hip replacement surgery, I'm hating it, but I'm gonna love the result. We'll all be in 3 years. We're all gonna be sitting here talking to Christi like we never doubted it for a second.
Right. Christi gonna be so mad when we're like, oh my God,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I ever seen. When we see the trailer, she's gonna be like, you guys are complaining, but we have to complain. That's what we're supposed to do.
The Holy Trinity.
That is what. But you know what? I think the Russo brothers would want us to be. They would want us to be skeptical. They would want to prove us wrong. So it's like we are motivation for them right now.
They got it.
Yeah.
Package delivered.
Boom. They don't want. I think Kevin Feige is like, no, I don't want y'all. I got to keep y'all on your toes. I don't want y'all to always be happy. We got to take these chances, and you're going to not like a lot of some decisions we make, but you're going to love the end game.
Funny story. In the airport in Puerto Rico, heading back,
you saw Kevin Feige,
who looked just like Kevin Feige. He had the baseball hat, the t-shirt, and the
Did you tackle him?
Jacket, the jeans. I had my carry-on luggage with me. I couldn't keep up with him. But I was like, even if it's not Kevin Feige, I got to get a picture because nobody looks that much like Kevin Feige and doesn't know he doesn't look like Kevin Feige.
That was probably Kevin Feige's brother.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I had to remind myself,
Mark
like,
Feige.
oh,
I don't even know.
I'm still a black man running through an airport. I can't just go running after white
Jamal
people
Feige.
and just tackling people. Saying, hey, anybody ever tell you look just like Kevin Feige? Like,
are you Kevin Feige's brother?
Yeah, I can't quite do that.
I would have done that.
He don't even have.
I lost him in the crowd. Otherwise, I'd have got a picture.
That's why me and Christy don't run into Kevin Feige's brother because we would have been like, are you Kevin Feige's brother? I would have told this. I would have made this fool go run out and be like, you go do it, Christy. You go do it. I can't do it, but you go do it. And then when it is, then I'm going to come get in the picture.
If he doesn't call TSA to get you ejected from the airport for harassment, then I'll come
put us on
over.
a ban list. She just got her passport. We cannot let her get on a ban list. They're gonna be like, excuse me, ma'am, you're gonna need a passport to get to Puerto Rico because your ass is acting up in America. Even though chasing down Kevin Feige's brother, Jamal Mark Feige.
She said Jamarcus Feige.
Jamarcus Feige.
Jamarcus
Feige.
Oh my God.
Christopher Jamal.
Christopher Jamal, honey.
If you see this video, I'm happy that you're coming back to the MCU. I'm not happy because I wanted them to take some chances and not just call on their usual suspects. But I'm gonna enjoy you being there. No question. And I do. When you ask me if I will be with you, yes, I do.
Calling your husband right now.
He knows. I do. So,
get her.
Guys, we're at the end of the show. On that note, it's been a wonderful hour. It's been a wonderful time. We went from doom and gloom to hope and inspiration of the new Marvel Cinema DC world. I'm super excited to see what Karate Kid. I'm literally
today for me.
We skipped over this too. What did we think of the poster that James Gunn put up of Superman? Quickly.
I like it.
It excited me.
I think they're going to tell a good story. I like the casting. I like the costume. And I think that the fanboys are going to hate it up until opening weekend.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like crazy. Christy, what did you think?
Look, I hadn't even seen it. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Can't you hear it? Can't you hear the music? Dun, 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 dun,
yes.
Dun,
yes.
Dun, dun, dun,
well, you
dun,
know
dun,
what part I really loved was that, Rachel Brosnahan, who is, Mrs. Maisel. Y'all know I was a huge Mrs. Maisel fan. She's playing Lois Lane. She is an exceptional actress. So I cannot wait to see what she's going to do with Lois Lane because we know Lois Lane so well. So it's going to be fantastic. But guys, that's it. I hate to say goodbye. We love you. We mean it. Thank you for watching the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast. Until next time, Happy New Year.
Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the Blurred Official Podcast.